I'm just going to tell you from my experience. I went to talk to community services board to try to suggest I was manic. I was definitely manic. There's no point in denying that. But I was working with my doctor and we were talking about adjusting the medicines. Just because you're manic doesn't mean you're a danger to yourself or others. But I went to the community services board and this would be the time my doctor would say, "Don't talk to officials." But I did. And I went to get my food stamps in Harrisonburg to register for that, and the police show up. And I was talking to a Mexican lady, and she was petting my dog. Her daughter was petting my dog, and I started to pull my phone out to because they were going to take me in, and I was like, "I'm not a danger to myself or others." And they kept me there. They put me in isolation for 4 days. When they put me in handcuffs, and I gave a verbal laughable speech to this police officer that was grievous. It was upsetting. She, in the end, was like, "Maybe I shouldn't have had children. What have I done? It's a mistake." I'm a good performance artist, and I shook her up quite a bit. I had my hand, they took my dogs, and that was a performance that was worth an Oscar, really. If it had been on TV, everybody would have been like, "Oh my God." This lady, she was shaken. She was shaken at what I was saying about her children. You know where to needle people when you're smart. But I shouldn't have been going to the hospital. And then they locked me up for 4 days in isolation, observation, but I haven't done anything. And that happened at MCV too. I went in to talk to them. I got some ideas, and I was a little manic. But they locked me up, and it was for 3 weeks. And I called my attorney, Russell. I was like, he's my friend. I said, "Why? I can't get out. They just won't let me out." And he said, "Do exactly what they say. Do exactly what they say, Ellie, Elizabeth." And that was probably the quickest way to get out. Because if I had challenged what they were saying, they probably would have kept me there months. And at one point, I was joking around with some of the patients, and they told me it was inappropriate and to stop talking. I was telling patients, I wasn't really advocating what they do, but I was telling them things that I knew, and they were listening to me. And the doctors did not want me sharing information, or anything joking about sexual stuff, things like that. They were so tightly wound. There's one guy that was kind of creative with the ponytail, and I've actually got his email. It surprised the hell out of him. I sent him an email, and he got scared. And just like my other doctor that I see now, is like, "How did you get my number?" And I'm like, "I just look it up. You guys are online. You doctors can be contacted. You can't hide out from us crazy patients, especially if we're smart." They told me I had to have ECT if I didn't do this one particular medicine. And my daughter they were going to force ECT. Nothing, I was taking the medicine. And I had done ECT one other time just to try it. I had a lot of mania. It was experimental, and I lost 2 months of memory. I was dating this guy. I was like, "Who are you?" It was like 50 first dates. It's horrendous. And part of that's environmental. It's that the doctors don't have the time to spend with the patient to diagnose them or treat them correctly. They have to assume things. Well, we got 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 15 minutes. Would you rush your freaking brain? Would you tell a doctor, "No, don't operate on me for longer than a half an hour"? Well, ma'am, but it's a 6-hour surgery. We're expecting 6 to 10 hours for this Nope. Nope. The insurance say you can only have half hour to 45 minutes for this brain procedure. You guys are nuts. You cannot fix psychiatric without talking. You don't have a blood test yet. Say, "Well, your serotonin's a little bit off, and depending on your dopamine." No, you don't have, I want to do an MRI on my dog to find out what kind of music. You can even do that. But I don't think we have a chemical test, and not everybody's the same. I mean, you're talking different genetics, different DNA. So basically, what you're saying is that you want a psychiatry appointment in 15 to 20 minutes to diagnose your mother so she's healthy. You guys are crazy. Plus, then you have more hospitalizations. If I didn't get seen, that's a part of the problem is like my doctor could only see me at the most for a half hour. If she called me in, say I was having stress and the medicines weren't right, and, "Oh yeah, just go ahead, kill me." That's what my son would say, "Kill me, kill me." That sets off some really terrible flags for children. I know children that two of them, and they're struggling terribly with a mother that committed suicide because borderline personality, plus then they have the bipolar. So, it's a war, rumors of war, like that thing. But we're getting better. I mean, it is getting better than it was in Bedlam. I mean, you can't just call up and say, put my wife in, she's crazy. And back then they could do that. They could get rid of their wife and send her to Bedlam. So, I mean, I don't mean to be negative. It is getting better. But one thing that might help is giving the doctor back the time that he needs to spend with the patient. Because it is like an operation, but they have to ask questions. They have to see the affect of the patient. Then they have to do the medicines and an effect to see how the medicines are acting. And you need a good place to go for that. It may take up to a month or 2 weeks, but they got to make sure they see you after that. But a lot of these medications take weeks to work. So we need an outdoor facility like in Buckingham, where I want to buy a farm. And we could knock the prison down and make that the after, like, say you could take a month off from work if you needed to. You can't now. You can't do that. You can't tell Coca-Cola, well, I got to take a month off because I got schizoaffective disorder and we're readjusting my medications. Goodbye, you're canned. We can't do that. We have to encourage these people to come out and talk about it so we can figure it out. But putting it on, like telling a doctor he can only see a patient, and the doctor's like, I need to see him for an hour, maybe even twice a week right now while we're in this crucial time of him being in the hospital. Please don't be crazy anymore, people. Deeds and Ralph, and it's not just a bed in a hospital. It's having time with your doctor and therapist. I think in the long run, preventative care in public schools, brain health class and science, so we can do preventative care before it gets so bad that somebody ends up in the hospital at all. We can prevent all that pretty good now. I think Craig Eaton was way too far. He should have somehow, but if he didn't want help, if it's not acceptable in the society to go for help, you hide it. You don't want to admit to that. So we have to bring it out. We have to talk about it. I think green is the color of mental health or brain chemical health. But you wear the little pink for... I'm embarrassed. I don't want you looking at my boobies if I say I have breast chemical. No. And if I wear green for my brain, don't look at my brain. How can you tell by the shape of my head what my brain is like? It's absurd. It is absurd to go in a hospital and the doctors don't have time to see you, but you're going to adjust medications to fix it. Well, good luck with that, Reagan. That's a Reagan policy. That's Ayn Rand. That's saying we don't need our chemically imbalanced. Jim Morrison, who here is going to say we didn't need the Doors or Jim Morrison or Nirvana or Sylvia Plath or Van Gogh? So please, let's open up the avenues of conversation. Thank you.